Welcome to the Golden Feather. Your hosts Vertek and Chibi Bree are back from their latest adventure. So go ahead, grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today is February 12th, 2021, and we have Xillin as our guest. Hello, Xillin. Welcome in.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And as always, Vertek.
Oh, hi, everybody. How you doing today?
And this is episode 67, Falling in Love with Pre-Alpha 1. So we have a lot to talk about. Part of it is the brand new cosmetics that you see right there in the background. That just very majestic, let me say. I feel like
yes.
What was that new Netflix show? Bridgerton. It feels very Bridgerton. Oh. Aside from the flying Pegasus, I didn't see any of those in there, but you know.
No.
Indeed.
Indubitably.
Indubitably. But let's learn a little bit more about Xillin. So Xillin, I hear you're a new content creator for Ashes.
Yeah, I'm a new content creator, period. I've only been doing it for like a month and a half now.
Okay.
And I started with Ashes content, and I kind of plan on going down that road.
Nice. What kind of content do you do?
I mean, that's kind of... I'm not sure yet. I'm still finding out who I'm going to be, what kind of content I'm going to do. I've started with more like talking about my opinions on kind of MMO topics in general, and then anything if I can tie it back or relate it back to Ashes in some kind of way, I do.
Okay.
But I'm a football coach. I have an instructional or educational background, so I think that once we can start to get our hands on the game, and I can start making videos where it's like, hey, this is how you do this is how you do that. You know, if you come around this corner right here, that's where the good thing is, or whatever. I think that's where I'll go. But for now, it's like I'm trying to figure out what can I do. It's because we don't have our hands on the game. Yeah.
So like tutorials and guides kind of thing.
Yeah, tutorials, guides, strategies, tips, like stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have to ask, since you're a football coach, are you PvP or PvE or a mixture?
I'm almost exclusively a raider. PvE. I've been pretty hardcore about it at times. Ran a big raiding guild at one time. I like PvP, and if the game is done really, really well as far as the PvP, I'll play it. But it's not my draw. It's not the thing that sucks me in. That's fair. I just figured, like, I can imagine like an Ashes of Creation flag football, and you being like, okay, team, this is the plan. Well, in raiding, that is kind of how it is. Yeah, there's one guy who has to like, this is the plan, this is how we're going to execute it, and then somebody has to hold everybody accountable, and that's kind of the role that I've taken in my raid teams and raiding guilds. So yeah, there's a lot of similarity. Absolutely. Very nice. They're like, hey, you DPS, get out of the red. Healer's not going to heal you if you don't. Yeah, all the time. All the time. Alrighty.
Yeah, I think when it comes to raids, like, I like to be the raid assist. Like, I don't really, like, I don't know. I like calling my stuff that's important for the tank to do, because I tank most of the time.
Right, me too.
And I am okay with calling some random things, like certain specific things, but I can't be the watch everything raid later guy.
Right. I struggle with certain parts of it, and the more complicated a particular fight gets, the less I'm able to tank, do all of my responsibilities, and remind people in real time of all their responsibilities. So it's like the further you get into like high level rating, the more it is that everybody needs to be able to be responsible for their own stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just the quiet healer type that likes to record the rating session and then review it later.
Hey, it takes all types. Everybody has to contribute. Exactly. So, you have a Discord. Vertek put out your YouTube earlier. You don't have a Twitter, though. No, I don't do social media. Like, except for
Neither does Vertex.
YouTube kind of is a social media, so I can't say I don't do it. And technically I have a Facebook for personal use, just for like keeping with my family or whatever.
Okay.
But no, I don't do Twitter, TikTok, Vine. Well, I guess Vine's even closed now, isn't it? Any of those. I don't do any of those.
Yeah.
And I never have. And I don't like, you guys may learn this throughout the process of this podcast. I'm pretty wordy. And so trying to distill my thoughts down into 140 characters is never going to happen. So I don't even try.
Well, the good news is, though, in terms of getting more viewership for your channel and stuff like that, should you choose to do a Twitter, they have a lot of streamlined things where when you post a new video, it automatically tweets it out for you. So people that follow you are aware. Of course, then there's the bell icon. So that works
right.
too.
Yeah. Just click the bell icon and we won't have to have a Twitter account. I like that.
Exactly.
I'm going to start saying that in my videos.
Please help me avoid the desolate landscape that is Twitter.
Yes.
I do not want to get involved in that nuclear.
Yes. Yep.
That hellhole. Want to avoid it.
Yep. That's
Please hit
exactly
the
how
bell.
I am. Please hit the bell so I don't have to.
So there's been a lot of stuff released recently from Ashes, and we are getting very close to the next playtest sessions. Vertec, what did you find?
As far as, sorry.
Just stuff.
Just stuff?
You're-
Oh, I mean, I found a lot of, there's a lot of things. But I actually had a question. Speaking of your social media and your YouTube and all that, you had a couple videos specifically about Ashes, because I know you had a couple about some other games, but your top 5 reasons Ashes of Creation could fail. Mm-hmm. So some of those things you mentioned definitely resonate with me, like the payment model. The sub model they're going for, I have a high hope that it will succeed and stay like that, because I really do like that model. But I do have a fear, same as you, that there's going to be people that are going to jump in and go, I don't want to pay monthly.
Right. I've never understood that. It costs $20 for you to take a girl to the movies for one night, and that's if you just sit there bone dry mouth because you didn't buy a $7 drink. $15 a month is unlimited entertainment for $15. I just don't understand. I've never understood people's aversion to the subscription model. I've never understood it.
Well, for me, that was the cheapest way of having entertainment. What, $15 and I get to play this game unlimited all month? Hell yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I've never understood the aversion to the subscription model. And I've always found that if you start out as a free to play MMO, you say, hey, we're making a free to play MMO and it's going to have, cash shop and whatever. Okay, fine. Then that's what everybody expects. But if you start out and say, we're going to be a subscription only MMO, like Star Wars: The Old Republic did and Rift did, and there's a big long list, and then within a year and a half you're like, well, we're going to switch to free to play, your subscriber base just leaves because they don't want to deal with that. That's not why they're there. And so I'm nervous, very nervous that early on, within that first year and a half that Steven's going to have to come out and say, hey, look, we're going to have to switch to a free to play model and start just shoving as much stuff into the cash shop as we possibly can. And, but that's just I'm an old MMO gamer. My first MMO was Ultima Online in 1998, and I've been playing them and subscribing to them ever since then. So there's a cynical side of me for sure that's scared about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, same.
The other thing is,
Brown, by the way.
Yes, hi. The other thing is, at least with comparatively to World of Warcraft, you have the box cost plus the subscription monthly. The positive thing with World of Warcraft, and maybe eventually Ashes can get to this point as well, but World of Warcraft, you can buy large months quantity at a time, which ends up being cheaper in the long run. So if Ashes were to instill something similar where you can subscribe multiple months in a row, for a lot cheaper, I feel like people would probably not be as averse because, hey, pay for half a year, you don't have to worry about it for half of a year. Then in one day you log in and your time ran out and you're just darn, so I had to pay more. But
Right.
at least there's that.
Yeah.
Also, the negative thing with free to play a lot of the time is it's free to play, pay to win. And that's the unfortunate sides of free to play is just, wow, okay, how do I get up there? Oh, you got to pay all this money to get the good armor because only the people that are up there have this that they bought off the cash shop. And otherwise, you're just going to be a pleb for like ever, pretty much.
But you know, I think, Xillin, we were talking about this the other day too. Like, I have a fear that it might almost go the way of one of your other statements on that video, which was the listening to a small but vocal minority in the game. We were talking about Wildstar, right?
Right.
And that is a horror story that it makes me cry every time, because they stood their platform when they were building the game was, this is going to be difficult.
Right.
To raid and to run dungeons at the end game, you have to be serious. You got to be hardcore. You got to push for it. It's not going to be easy at all.
Right.
And then they delivered on that. 100% they delivered. And that is actually what caused people to leave.
Right.
Because they delivered so perfectly on that promise. Like, everybody was psyched up for it beforehand. But that, I guess, the vocal minority were the people that were bringing a bunch of friends who were the hardcore, I guess. I don't know. Because they couldn't deal with the fact that it was difficult, and they left. And they took all the other actual hardcore people with them, because then their friends went back to playing WoW or whatever. So, hey, I got to go back with my friends. I mean, they're playing that, so...
You're right. And that has me nervous because, you know, Steven has said that this game's not going to be for everybody, and he's well aware of that, and he's fine with it. And it's like, okay. But the problem is now you're not going to bring enough people in. And I think you end up in that dangerous zone that I kind of talked about in that video, where the casual player who makes up did we lose some sound there? Okay. The casual player who makes up the bulk of your subscriber base leaves because it's too hard for them. And so when the casual player leaves, you're only left with the hardcore players. And if it's a PvP game, they get tired of killing each other. There's like 600 of them, and they kill each other so many times. They're like, okay, well, it's time to move on. You need the casual base. And so you can't make the game exclusively hard or you know, like a good example is the death loot. Like you drop some of your loot on death that Ashes has. Ultima Online had that back in the day. It was full open world PvP, completely non-consensual. If somebody wanted to kill you outside of a city, they could, and you dropped everything that was on your body. And that was too hardcore. And then I think that the whole, like, you know, the theme park MMO, World of Warcraft, Rift, name your MMO since then. The other model is too softcore. It's too easy. Every time I die, it doesn't matter. Nothing happens. And so Ashes is trying to strike that balance where you can kill people in the open world and they drop some of their stuff, but not all their stuff. That sort of thing. It's that finding that balance is real tough. And I think that's actually the hard part of launching a new MMO.
I agree. Also, sorry, I could hear you. It was loud enough where I could still hear you.
Oh, it's okay.
The light thing isn't working. I'm sorry for those of you following. The LED lights aren't going off, and I don't know why.
Womp, womp, womp.
Oh, you guys have LED lights that go off when somebody follows?
Yeah, like it's supposed to do a wheel. Like these light up and then the sides. So it's supposed to like go like blue, purple, green, stuff like that. But it wasn't doing anything. And I was like, no, why?
And by the way, Davlos, that's hilarious. Just saying. I went to your little link there. Trying to earn some tendies, huh? Trying to earn some tendies.
You're welcome. I like what you did with the pack items. Well, thank you.
Don't put money into it.
It's a meme.
For those who didn't see it because it was auto moderated right out. He made a meme GoFundMe for GME stock, GameStop.
Oh, okay, now, there you go.
Getting on the stonk train.
Yeah. But yeah, we do this every month actually with the cosmetics. I like to make them into like the little background, and Bacon made the original background with the ocean, and I just make a little encampment. So.
Boy, but yeah, you had some solid points in that video, and there's some things that definitely people are people are really worried about. But then the other thing, which is something I was waiting on, is that tank archetype video.
Oh, me too, man. I was waiting on that thing.
Right. Like this, those skills are just fantastic.
Most of them are really, really good. I said something in the video because I didn't know this, but I said something about everything was fire based. It seemed like the tank was just throwing out fire skills left and right. And I'm like, why? What's the point of that? And apparently Steven has said in the past that is a placeholder that they're aware of that. And, those same at launch. So that alleviated some of my concerns. And the only concern I have left is just that one skill. I don't remember the name of it, but you jab the sword into the guy's face.
Yeah.
It just stays there for a second.
Which was awesome. Like, it's so cool, but it's like in the video, the enemy just like puffed away and was just gone. And it was like, okay, well, what if you use that ability and you jab it into somebody and they don't die, and now your sword is stuck in them and you're standing there with no sword? Or do you magically have another sword? Like, how exactly does that work? And that made me a little bit curious. But other than that, man, I really like those. And the javelin animation was awesome. I love that one.
Me, I always, when I get stuck on something like that, I always imagine, okay, so we're going into a world, right? We're transporting in through magic portals from a different realm that we left because the earth was being destroyed by evil gods that fell from a meteor. So I'm okay with the fact that I'm magically creating a sword.
Yeah, no, and there's definitely that side, that argument. There's no question. The whole thing is just weird because then it's like, okay, well, if you can magically create that sword, then why can't I magically create, that sword over there? Like, why can't I just say, okay, well, I want to have a two-handed sword and just think about it and have one? It's a little strange, little gray area there.
Yeah.
Magic has limits. You have to think happy thoughts and stuff. And you can't think happy thoughts all the time, and they have to be happy enough thoughts. And it's complicated.
Okay. It's okay. I didn't know that they had a happiness system in there. If you'd have told me that from the beginning, I would have been down. Okay.
Yeah, it's based on Peter Pan. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, horrendous. I am not sure if that is. I think it's a fake horn, to be honest. Because it's all spirally.
The unicorn
Horrendous was
horn.
asking if, the Mount's unicorn horn thing was real or if it was a fake armor piece. I think it's a fake armor piece specifically because it's all like twirly, and they would have to like drop the armor on and like screw it down into place around a swirly horn, and then strap it to the unicorn's head. Which I guess they could probably do, but I just think it would be weird.
Okay, I'm gonna swap over real quick just because you guys were talking about the tank preview. I just want to show that off while you guys talk, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And hi, Raven. How's it going? And Brom, not sure if this was already talked about. What one thing are you most looking forward to in Ashes, and what one thing you're least excited about? Well, the one thing I'm most excited about, besides nodes, because nodes are going to be freaking amazing, is what we're looking at right now, the tank stuff. There are going to be 8 varieties of tank. 8 varieties of tank. It harkens back to when I was playing World of Warcraft, and there was the unholy and the blood and the ice tank options.
Yeah.
You could have 3 in one character, and it was freaking amazing.
It was one of my favorites, I think, because you often could like swap between specs, right? In World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
That was a key aspect of it. And Raven, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking.
That's actually one of the videos that I'm working on right now. I want to do a video where I go back and rewatch the tank archetype video that we just watched, but kind of pause it after every one and just speculate on how would that ability change. Because that's how it works. The ability animations are going to change based on your secondary archetype. So it's like, how would that ability change? Like, for example, with the javelin ability. Well, what if the ranger was your secondary archetype? Would you pull out a bow and shoot him and then yank on like an arrow with a rope on it and then yank on the rope?
Yeah, you'd pull out a bow and shoot a harpoon instead of just a regular javelin.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was trying to think of the one that I came up with in my head the other day I thought was a really good idea was if your secondary archetype was a summoner, maybe you could just like summon like a giant or something behind him and he just shoves them to you instead of you pulling them.
And see, That's exactly what I'm talking about with so many different styles of tanks. Like I'm excited to try a tank bard, and I want to try a tank summoner, mainly the summoner thing, because I used to love playing Unholy as a tank. Used to love that because it was fun. You have your little minions go in and help you out with your dodge and parry and all that stuff. I want to create minions to go in and slap people for me, get their attention, piss them off, just dance around and like bite their kneecaps. I don't care. Just make them angry.
And I'm definitely with you on the bard thing, because I've always liked the idea of there's been a lot of MMOs that have tried different variations of this, but the tank that's also like, I don't know, inspirational or what, like gives buffs off to everybody around them. And I kind of see that as being what the bard tank would be like. You know, not only would you be tanky, but you're constantly be giving off, you know, attack damage up or, you know, whatever to everybody around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I want to say it was in Soul Leader that had the sword Excalibur. But either way, there was a sword that would take a person form, like a bipedal form. It wasn't really human. It was just bipedal.
I'm sorry, did you say it was a sword?
Yes.
And this is a video game?
It was an anime. But
okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I'm good.
It was like it was like a almost like a bardy tank style, because he could take some abuse and, you know, dish it out too. But he would sing all the time and have the sing song voice going. It was fantastic. But that's what I imagine a tank bard to be like, just getting hit in the face and singing back like, oh.
yeah. That's gonna be
you are, but what am I?
One thing I'm most looking forward to in Ashes is being able to just, I don't know, explore a new type of cleric, because usually as a healer, you know, you are the person in the back. You are the one that's being protected by the party up until some ads come up behind you and attack you. But anyway, usually you're hiding. But in this game, you're going to be up front and center, you know, with everybody. So I thought that was going to be really interesting, because it feels more like, if you're gonna put it in World of Warcraft terms, like discipline priest or something like that, where you're up front and you're fighting to heal people. Not really shadow priest. Shadow priest, I imagine necromancer to be something like that, but or rather cleric summoner. I don't know how to put that one, but the thing I'm looking forward to the least is probably the PvP. I'm not really a PvP person. I like PvE, but with it being open world, I know I'm going to have to get used to that. And I'm interested in seeing how Ashes is going to implement it, but I'm not exactly looking forward to it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's right. Forgot that aspect. The thing I'm looking forward to least would have to be open world dungeons and raids. I think that it would be okay to have some of them, but the majority of them being open world, I think is going to be potentially an issue. I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it's going to pan out to be the better, but I'm worried.
I agree with that. I'm not a big fan of open world. I mean, okay, open world boss is fine, but calling it a raid, open world raids, just see it. They're going to be. My nervous is they're going to be Zerg fists. You're just going to take 60 people and go wipe through it, no problem.
Yeah, well, Steven did say already that he and the team are looking at ways to discourage that type of thing. Like, the more people that end up on the battlefield, the more complicated mechanics are going to be introduced to dissuade that. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, there could be something like a plague that gets dropped after a certain number of people are on the field, and you have to be a certain distance away from everybody or what have you. Yeah. More people, more death.
Yeah. Then people will be trying to see how many people they can do it with and still beat the boss. Be like, well, we did it with 104 people. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's the new challenge, is just how many people and how many new mechanics can you add to it. I don't know. That could be interesting. That could make for some fun, I think.
Yeah.
Could be interesting for sure. So, what kind of super nifty things have been on your mind over the past, say, week or so, Mr. Xillin? Yeah.
So
Have you bumped into anything super nifty?
nifty. I mean, other than the tank archetype video, I mean that was awesome. So I haven't watched any of the other archetype showcases, none of them. And so my plan is to do a reaction video to all of them, just like I did on the tank archetype, and that's going to be my next set of videos. Is going to be reaction to each of those. But no, the biggest thing that's been on my mind, the thing that like. I hope I don't start too much of a firestorm here. I just found out a few days ago that there's essentially not going to be DPS meters of any kind, and then you're not going to be able to get them in Ashes, and that has me very concerned because, in my opinion, if you don't have DPS meters, you can't have like really tight, really hard boss fights. Like they go hand in hand, and so I've been trying to figure out how to make a video with that concept and have it sound good and make a good point and be focused and all that. So that's something I'm working on.
Word. Yeah, well, there's something else that bumped into with speaking of content creation and whatnot. Wandering Mist was on the show last week. Yeah. Wandering Mist was on the show last week, and thank you again, Wandering Mist, for referring Xillin over to us.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I like him.
But yeah, he had the UI customization video, which, in case you guys have not seen it,
Theater.
you should, because it's actually definitely worthwhile. He breaks it down, but basically talking about how people have, for the most part, just responded to his question with saying everything needs to be movable. And that's kind of everyone's perception, is you just need to be able to move and adjust everything, resize it, etc. And yay! By the way, thank you, Theodorov. And but he goes into a little bit more detail on things, like there should be the ability to change colors on things because of colorblind people and such. But he does compare it to ElvUI, and anybody who's played WoW is definitely familiar with ElvUI because is the best.
Right.
That's it. I used so many other things before, like they were all nifty, but ElvUI just had it so streamlined it was insane.
They did. I've never understood why. Like, I guess I kind of get it. If you are an immersion person and you don't want all that information on the screen and you want to strip it down so that it's just the screen so that you can play the game and feel like you're completely immersed in the world and all that, and okay, fine. But I don't play the game for the immersion. I play the game because I want to be the best raider or the best PvPer or the best crafter or whatever it is. And I need the stats and the information and all that on my screen. And then you get the argument, well, yeah, but that gives you an advantage over the guy over there who's not using that stuff. And I'm like, the guys who are playing the game for immersion don't care about being the best. They don't care about the advantage. It doesn't matter to them. So why can't we just have both? He can have it off and I can have it on. But it seems like the people who they have it off, they just demand that everybody else has to have it off also, and that's always driven me crazy. I don't understand that.
No, I get that one too, because I want to say I probably had like 40 some add-ons at one point. Like I used to have a ton. I tried to simplify it after a while. I was like, there's some things that are doing double work here. Like I'm using 2 different applications to do kind of the same thing. Let me get rid of one of these. Yeah. But yeah, because honestly, like even a note I made from Wandering Mist video, he said things like, you don't need to see, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing what I recall. He said, you don't need to see this person receiving buffs. It means nothing to me except for very niche circumstances. But those very niche circumstances are somebody else's bread and butter. Yep. Mm-hmm. So like it's not so much that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as the entire thing can be customizable out of the gate.
I think ultimately, if it's something that is accessible to everybody, then I don't see the unfair advantage or an unfair disadvantage there, because it's something that's being provided and everybody has access to. It's another thing for like LVUI where people don't know how to tinker with that thing. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to tell what their DPS is because of that. Like, I can understand from that perspective, but like if something is provided, like let's say Ashes came up with their own DPS tool and that was provided and you could turn it on or turn it off, then I feel like that's fair game at that point. But either way, I have my feels about DPS meters and stuff, but I mean, ultimately, either way, I'll suck it up if they don't want them, which I can understand, but I do hope that they do have them.
From what I understand, they've already said they're not going to. He feels like Steven said he feels like they have a negative impact on the community. And I'm just like, that's such a cop-out excuse. Open world PvP with full loot has a negative impact on the community, but you're doing it and building the game around it. Like that's not, it's kind of silly. And I understand the other side of the argument on DPS meters. I get it, because if you have a DPS meter that, if I join, or not if I join it, but if I have the program, if I have the third-party program that shows DPS, I can see everybody's DPS that's in my group. Yeah, you're going to have people who are going to be trashing people who aren't as good at the game or as well geared or as experienced or whatever. And yeah, that's awful. But so like, and I believe Vertec and I had this discussion a little bit, but I always felt like Star Wars: The Old Republic had the perfect solution to this, because it was not a part of the game. You had to download it separate. The program that did the DPS metering. Now you could build this into the game. It doesn't have to be separate. But the thing was, somebody had to make a group, a raid group, and then you had to purposely go join, type a username and password in to join into their raid group, and then they could see your DPS. You could still see your own at any time, but in order to let other people see your DPS, you had to go make that choice. That way the raiding community can still judge and meter their DPS, and raid leads can keep up with, okay, yeah, this guy's doing enough, this guy's not. But at the same time, it's not like you're going to get trashed because you're a new player and you hop into a dungeon with some elitist jerk off who wants to, be mean about it.
Yeah.
And this is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, this is a conversation that always tends to go on forever and always is going to have the two sides to it. I think we've talked about it at least a handful of times here. My personal standpoint is I am always a mediocre raider when it comes to progress and progression. The reason being is that I spend half of my time with bleeding edge progression guilds running because I'm good at doing that. But then I spend the other half just running with people who need the help. So I end up making kind of blah progress because I'm experiencing all the end game stuff really quick and really deeply, but I don't always go with them. So they're going to down a boss on a week when I'm not with them. So it's whatever. And I can see both sides of the story. Like
Me too.
Love having meters so I can improve myself. I love having meters so I can tutor and mentor somebody and they can say, hey, what am I doing wrong? Okay, let's turn on a meter. Let's see what you're doing. Okay, this skill, you're not using that one enough. You've used it 3 times in the past 5 minutes. You need to use it every 30 seconds, guaranteed, as soon as it's uncompleted.
Yep.
So I can see both sides of that because like Wizzy said, meter linkers, the ones that just always like, hey guys, look at me. Dude, put it away. Put it in your pants.
Yeah, it means nothing to me. Right.
It's nonsense. Like you're just trying to flex for no reason. So I mean, there's both sides of the story. So there's 2 different solutions that I could see happening. One, which would be great, is if you could actually have a dummy on your freehold, and that's the only time you can have a damage meter. It's on your freehold. Anybody who jumps on your freehold, you can see their stuff, but that's it. Just on your freehold. The end. The other solution is like Final Fantasy XIV. They outlaw it, but it's a public secret that a lot of people use a third-party damage meter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Everybody knows that people use a third-party damage meter.
Right.
But you only get banned if you link your meters and talk about it.
Right. That's not a bad system.
And even some people who end up streaming with it running on their stream, Square Enix will find out about it, but they don't ban them because they're not using it to be a jerk.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and I like the idea of your at freehold only meters. The only problem with that, and this gets back to why I think the meters are necessary to begin with. I know lots of people who can put up crazy numbers standing in front of a dummy by themselves with no mechanics happening or whatever. But as soon as they get into a raid and have to do other things besides just concentrate on their rotation, their damage goes to total crap. And so you wouldn't really be able to judge that. And so that I'm going to use a Star Wars The Old Republic example just because that was my main game for a long time and I understand it. So there's a fight in that game where in the middle of the fight, the boss jumps, like literally teleports to the middle of the room. She's invulnerable. She can't be damaged. And then a bunch of droids spawn in or drop in all the way around the room like a clock. And she starts shooting lightning, a nonstop shot of lightning, and starts rotating this direction like this. And if the lightning touches you, you die. And if the lightning touches one of those droids, everybody's dead. It's game over right then. And so it's a DPS race. Everybody's got to get over there, get that droid, then the next one, then the next one. Everybody calls it the clock mechanic because you're going around like a clock. If as the raid leader, I can't look and see what somebody's DPS is and find out who's the one that's dragging the team back and sit down and explain and figure out what they're doing, then you can't have a really tight mechanic like that in a fight. Everything has to be kind of loose and just it lowers the skill cap required to do the hardest bosses on the hardest difficulties really far down. And so then the hardcore raider or I guess that's the best term, the hardcore raider goes to find another game where they can find tighter, more difficult fights. And so if you're trying to appeal to that community, I feel like you have to have the DPS meters. I think they go hand in hand. However, your solution is a good one if you're not wanting to have the hardcore raiding community and you just want to have some high-end PvP, then that would work great.
Yeah. And there's multiple solutions, but a big problem either way.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think it's something that'll ever be really quote unquote solved so much as the.
Sorry.
Go ahead. What you got?
I'm really excited to see how the buffs work with Bard and stuff like that. Like, I want to see how other people perceive those buffs. Like, is it just the Bard and the person being buffed, or do other people get to see the buffs happening also? Because I feel like that might change the game plan a little bit, where if it's just the Bard and the person being buffed, then like it's kind of like a secret buffing, like, okay, I'm secretly over here like buffing you. But then like if you're on the opposite team from me and I'm seeing you being buffed, like, do I go after the Bard who's buffing you, or do I go after you and try to interrupt like somehow something? Like, I don't know. It kind of brought it up earlier, because when you said you don't need to see party member buffs or something like that, I was just like, I wonder how that would work with the Bard and the buffing.
If there was no indication for buffs?
Like, yeah, like outside of the two people, for example.
Wouldn't you have to have it where there's no like little icon on their target bar, but there would have to be something like you could see the Bard singing at the person or something? You'd have to have something if the Bard is like legit buffing someone, wouldn't it? You have to have some visual notifier of that.
Yeah.
Just me, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to figure. I mean, I know it's a fantasy game and all this and that, but if you're walking into a bar fight, you're gonna know who the toughest guy like standing there is, just the way he walks, and like that's a wall of solid muscle right there. That's gonna hurt if he hits me. I'm gonna make sure that he does not hit me. So in a game that's built around like being able to evaluate the field, and you can't physically see the field, you can just look at some pixels that represent what the field is. You have to have something to indicate like that's a badass right there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or that guy just hulked out and I think he just popped like instant roids because the veins just popped out of his neck.
Right.
I'm going to avoid him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like there would have to be some type of notifier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just wondering if that was one of those things, because I mean, the other thing is I believe they said you could toggle on and off the spell looks, I suppose, like when everybody's
the animations.
The animations, thank you. That's the word. Yeah. But was it McNasty said, I'm hoping they blow our minds with some weird Bard Ranger or Bard Rogue combos being the meta. And then Theater says, I would think that the Bard for sure would see who's buffed, and I agree with that. I was just meaning like, would it just be the Bard, or like the Bard and the person that they're buffing, or would somebody on like, because there's no factions here, so it's not like, oh, somebody on the alliance team is buffing somebody else. Like there's not like that. Everybody is just, I guess, neutral or against everybody else, for lack of a better word. There's not like a faction thing. There's guilds, but that's the closest thing there's going to be to that.
Right.
But I just didn't know if there was going to be like would you see somebody that you're PvPing against? Would it be obvious to you that who that person is buffing, etc.? And kind of interested in seeing how the bard effects are going to be. But I know that's a very long way off because they just barely put out the tank. So we're not even quite through all of the main 5 archetypes we were given. So
have they said whether or not the bard is going to buff one person at a time, or if it would be like an AoE buff? Have they said that?
I imagine there'd be a combination.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
agree with that.
I know they've said something about an AoE like distance from bard type buff, but I would imagine there'd also be at least a 1 or 2 single player or single target uses as well.
Yeah. Node alliances are higher. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Node alliances are higher in the chain than guilds.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. By the
Hey,
sounds
Dow.
of it. So I think node member is the closest to a faction, which makes sense. And
Yeah.
Dal says, avoid, perhaps not. Take them out first. To the main point, though, we need affordances like these, very much so.
True story. True story. But yeah, there's also going to be the player. What are they, like the guilds? Not like a guild, like I forget exactly what they were called. The societies. That's it.
Oh,
Okay.
Like the Thieves Guild and such like that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
The little societies. Those are going to be against each other at times.
I'm excited for those. I
God,
can't wait to
what
see
if-
how that rolls out.
What if the guy on like it's just, I'm just thinking about like what if the guy you need to fight is like a node member, a rival society guy, and a guild member? Like, you know what I mean? Like you in some ways you're on his team, but in
Conflicts
some
of
ways you're not.
interest.
There's conflicts of interest. I hadn't thought about that. That's good.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the interesting thing about Ashes. That's what's really going to make Ashes unique, in my opinion. It's just there's all these factors that go in. Why kill the guy next to you? Maybe you have to kill the guy next to you, even though he's your friend, because he's in a rival society from you, and your society says to do so. Or maybe your deity says to do so. Like, I am the god of death, so therefore kill.
What if you love your node? You love your metropolis. You have one of the rare mansions in the city that you can just walk right up off the street and visit. And you have a little garden that's right on the path. And this is your town. You love this town, right? And your guild is centered in another node, and they decide that your node needs to be destroyed.
Yep.
Strategically, it must be destroyed. How heartbreaking would that be? Like, do you quit your guild and say, all right, F you guys, forget this? Or do you fight against your guild and hope that they're okay with you fighting against them?
Right.
Like, sorry,
Or do you
guys.
just say, all right, sell the home and
Sell the
attack
home.
my node? Because I
Attack
think
your
this is
own
going to be a
node.
successful attack. I don't know.
I mean, I guess if you help your guild take your node, you still get to live there. But if you help your guild assault your node
you
and
destroy it.
lose, or
Yeah.
if it gets destroyed, or if you lose and now all your node mates know you're a traitor, boy, that's going to be some real interesting conflicts like that.
Oh,
I'm
it's going to be
curious.
fun. Oh, but speaking of fighting against people and stuff, so I bumped into a fun little forum post, right?
Okay.
This is from Granthor, who
Ooh,
a lot of people here
Granthor.
will know as one of those who writes a lot of nifty stories on the forums. If you haven't read them, please do. Just look up the username. I think there's been 3 chapters so far, and each chapter has been like a zillion posts, so like 79 gazillion pages, or not that many, but you know, I'm just estimating. Either way, this post says, should there be an outlaw town for PKers? Like people who go around killing other players. When they become corrupted, should there be a town that is available only for them, as far as like a notification popping up on the map saying here it is?
Well, what do you think
allowing
about
them
that?
to go and like resupply and give them a destination to run to as soon as they like kill somebody. Like they have somewhere to escape to. I use the term escape using giant quotey fingers in my head. Escape. Because the theories behind it are also that it would, and this is like through the entire thread, this all comes out, and it sounds like it would actually be a fun idea, because the first thought is what the unknown something, I forget the second
Player Unknown
post.
Battleground? Or something like that? Unknown.
No, the person who made the post.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I have to pull up the post again here, but either way, they said no because it's supposed to be all stick and no carrot. It's supposed to be all punishment when you PK and you get corrupted. All punishment, no reward. So why would you reward them with the secret town? But the fun part about this, and why I think this would actually be a nifty idea, is if there was a roving caravan that always changed where it was located, and it was the only place that people who were corrupted could safely go and hide away, so to say, like a safe place they could go to resupply, buy potions and sell gear and stuff like that while they go out and kill enemies, NPCs, to regain their good status. Now that would give a prime target for bounty hunters, right? So bounty hunters could, in their downtime, when they're not getting alerts from a bunch of people, just rove around the countryside looking for this caravan and alert their fellow bounty hunter compatriots, like, hey, I found the caravan. I found it, guys. It's over here. I don't know how much longer it's going to be here. It was already there when I showed up. Make your way over here now. We got to raid this thing. Because there's like 15 PKers hanging out here. They're all fighting each other and PvPing and just making general fools of themselves. We can take them. Get over here now.
I'm a little bit mixed on that, because I understand the point about it's supposed to be all stick and no carrot. That makes total sense. In Ultima Online back in the day, your character would literally get put in jail for killing people if you got caught, and you're like, you just had to sit there with your count on and just stare at the screen or walk away or whatever for hours sometimes. But if you create more systems with it, maybe I don't know how I feel about that.
I like what Dal just said. Interesting. Black Desert has a town like this. However, it's rarely used. I think this idea has merit. The idea of the revolving caravan, especially. I hope that it is being discussed in the thread.
Yeah. When I bumped into it, they were discussing the idea of it being a roving caravan and never being in the same place. I mean, never is a big word. It's obviously probably going to end up in roughly the same spot at some point, but it wouldn't always be in the same spot.
Right.
And that's
good.
That would be nifty, I think, because it's not necessarily giving them a true place to escape to so much as a potential place for the bounty hunters of a military node to stumble across a group of them and just slay them and get all of whatever they're carrying just dropped to the ground. Because when you're corrupted, you can drop completed gear.
Yeah.
So if you're using even half decent gear out there to try to grind your reputation back to being good, and you run over to this bad boy town and a bunch of bounty hunters come through and clear it all out, you could drop your sword of I'm awesome. Yeah. And they just got a sword of they're awesome now, and they're just putting it up on the auction house. By the time you respawn, get back to your corpse and pick up your shield and pants, and that's all you have left to your name is a shield and pants.
That's right. I have a question. I started thinking about it as you were talking about it, because it seems like Steven has said on numerous different occasions that, they're trying to build all these risk versus reward systems. And so, you're doing, there's a lot of risk to running around and killing random players for no reason. What's the reward? What's the reward for doing it? You're taking these huge risks. Why would anybody do it?
Well, the kill a player thing, I could see a couple reasons. I could see there being a couple reasons. If, for one thing, just revenge. Say someone does kill you out on the field in PvP because they jumped you with like an entire team worth of people, and you're like, you little dirty, and you keep going back, and they keep demolishing you, and then finally you want to catch them one-on-one, and you're like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to show you that I can win one-on-one. And you jump and you're like, let's fight, and they don't fight back, and you want to get satisfaction. I'm not one of those people, but I could see it happening with some of the PvP friends that I know. Like when they want revenge, they don't care what the penalty is. They want to get revenge back. The other one, even Steven brought this up. Let's say there's a super rare spawning gathering material, and it's spawning in this area, and you know it's about to spawn, and somebody's over here waiting for the same thing, and it spawns. What do? Do you play nice guy, or do you smack him in the face with your hammer and grab that gathering material and hightail it? And then worry about getting back to it afterwards. And I
guess by that same, to use one of your own terms, maybe you see somebody running around with a sword of I'm awesome, and you're like, I want to turn that into a sword of I'm awesome. So you go kill them just to take it. Well, no, but you can't take their weapons if you just kill somebody.
Not unless they're corrupted.
So I with the whole military nodes being kind of based around tracking down the people who are the player killers, for lack of a better term. I'm wondering if I'm just thinking about the way things can unfold, and it's like, what if everybody's just really nice to each other because nobody wants to get corrupted because the penalties are too sharp and the rewards are not high enough, and so like that entire node becomes kind of a useless node that there's no real benefit to having it or whatever, or working on leveling it up. Something I'm thinking about.
Yeah, and that's always a possibility too. People are going to be so scared of the corruption system that they're just not really going to be many at all.
If there's not some type of reward for doing it,
it's all going to be personal gratification, and that's it. It's gonna literally be down to, hey, this is my camping area. I'm getting all of the materials in this area. Get away from here. Please leave, dude. Yeah. Stop picking my stuff. Leave. Okay. All right, dude, leave. And you're going to smack them down and then hunt down 79 bears while you're picking up your herbs.
Yes, I guess fights over resources and territory is going to be the main driver behind that. Because like in Ultima Online back in the day when they had the full PvP and full open loot, that was the motivation. Even though there was a stick, the carrot was, when I killed you, you dropped everything. So there were people who had teleportation spells set for like every mine in the world, and they would literally just teleport to the mine. If there was a miner in there, run in there, kill him, take all his resources. Their mining was killing people who were mining. That's what they were doing. But it's like if I'm mining and you can't take, well, I guess you can take some of my resources, but not enough to make it, because it's only a percentage, right? That drops. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. I'm curious about that.
Define good enough though. Because what if there's a group of 5 people that are like, we want to go mining whatever materials we want to find, and their mining is running with a group of 6 people, and one person goes through and kills everybody, and then the other 5 people stay clean and hang out with him while he gets uncorrupted, and then they go out and do it again and do it again and do it again, and they make a day out of it.
Yeah, I guess you could do it. I think that's going to be one of the more interesting things, is seeing how the PK system evolves over time. Because at the current stage, I just don't see enough motivation to go do it. Like, I'm not going to go randomly kill people. What's the point? It's all like the guy said, it's all stick and no carrot to me.
Yeah. I like what Faisal said. In a nutshell, I reckon this is my land. You stepping on now. Get.
Now get.
And Horrendous wants to know if I'm getting the dress, and if you, Vertec, are going to get the flawless finery costume with the wig, or are you just going to hide home?
Absolutely.
And I am definitely getting that dress.
That spiffy outfit there, and I'm going to look all prim and proper and fine gentleman-like, and I'm going to get the most grotesque mount I can possibly find. I'm going to lump around on, like, I don't know, some weird-looking demon with pustules popping off its forehead.
This is my fine steed. And meanwhile, it's like dripping blood out of its teeth, and you're like, yes, good boy.
What do you say about my dear Susie? It's the best mount a man could ask for.
You want a cape, doggy?
Yes. Cape Doge.
Does the wig come with it? I have no clue, honestly. But
That's a really good question.
if I can wear this as an elven person, I would happily buy it. I think it's just a cosmetic and you can wear it for anybody, but a great question.
I just want the little boat thing that looks like one of the little what are they called that they ride around in like the canals in Italy?
Oh yeah, with like the person playing, like just stick a bard on the back of that under the little carriage area and just like have two lovers going down the waterway. There you go.
Hoo-ha.
That's the wedding ceremony.
Wizzy McNasty saying probably play 3 different characters due to 3 different play styles. One's always good, one is PK all the time, and one's torn between good and bad. Is that like split personality or just can't decide and just basically chaotically living through whatever impulse of the day? I'm curious.
Aw, shout out to my big brother Xillin.
Oh,
from
the circle burner?
Oh, yeah, that would be my brother. Thanks for watching, bro.
Welcome it. Let's see. There was a lot of stuff. If you guys want to keep chatting, I'm going to go ahead and get some of the, I think you put the
Ashes Creation card game?
Well, I don't know about the card game, but I know about this thing that they just tweeted out today.
This thing. Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Birds. Look at the birds.
Oh, I haven't seen this yet.
You haven't seen that one? Oh man,
Well,
here, I will.
I don't have Twitter,
post
so
this
I
in
don't
the
see
chat
anything
here,
they
so-
tweet.
Oh, feel free to click on that then. Yeah, they
You don't
have
have to have a Twitter
bird
to look
people.
at it. Yeah. So.
Before the harbingers appeared over the barren skies, many noble avian races existed in harmony with those who dwelled below. But now many of these majestic creatures have fallen to the perversions of the ancients' corruption. What treasures might you find among their ruins?
That's a cool picture. I like it.
Yeah, right. I mean, they say ruins, but it looks like somebody's actively living there right now.
Yes.
So,
And then
bird people.
bird people.
But apparently we're not going to be able to play them. Bird race is not playable.
Womp womp.
At least not yet. At least not yet. He said no, but I'm going to take that as maybe later.
Maybe later. Yeah, get added later.
Maybe later. Yeah, Steven said no, but
I feel like
it's a
that's what
definite maybe
happens
later.
when like your when your parents like no, and you're like, so what they meant was maybe. Maybe.
it was a solid maybe.
I'll just ask later.
Not my
Okay.
parents. That's not how it worked in my house.
But yes,
Mhm.
then there's this, which he hinted at earlier.
Yeah, it's like somebody made a kind of an offshoot of Magic the Gathering with some Ashes themed
It
cards.
looks really cool. And that's by Lashing, by the way. Believe that was taken from the Twitter, right?
Yeah, I grabbed it from the Twitter, but apparently it's on the forums. I didn't bump into it there though. I bumped into it on the Twitter.
Oh man, I love playing Magic the Gathering. I'm fascinated by this. So what is this exactly?
Looks like somebody was just kind of making an offshoot, an Ashes inspired or Ashes themed cards. It looks like they're kind of incomplete because it doesn't really have much of a description on the ward route,
Yeah.
but it at least has a little bit of a, summon XX ward route companion. The ward route is the companion of your caravan. And it looks like some custom symbols up at the top for, I guess, specific types of resources
Right.
that you would spend.
Is this all of them, or is there like more?
That's a really good question. We're going to have to search them down.
I'm totally intrigued by this now, man. I kind of want to play this.
But as of right now, that's all that I've seen, because that was posted up this morning, and I didn't get a chance to really do any deep searching on it yet.
Right.
I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. That looks really
Here you
cool.
go. I'll tell you what. Here is the link to the actual forum post.
And then
For those curious.
this other thing was posted by Anduin Kavan for the GS art contest, and I guess it's by Ryan. This is taken from the Discord. I'm swapping over the image right now, but it's very pretty. It's very Valentine's Day, if you ask me. I actually very, 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 very much like this photo. I cannot express that enough. But I absolutely love this. This is very pretty. Yeah, there's just a lot of reactions on it. I saw it last week and I was like, oh, that'd be perfect because it's like Valentine's Day on Sunday. So I wanted to share this. They said that let me just...
It was a name I recognized when you said it last week.
Anduin Kavan.
Anduin, yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So Anduin posted this on the 5th of this month, saying, at Lieutenant Toast, at Margaret Cron, the first submission for this month's GS art contest by at Ryan, and they tagged Ryan. This one is set after a hard-fought battle where a young lord has been injured, as one of his chaplains rushes over to his side to see to his wounds. Is there something more between the two, or is it just a healer seeing to the wounded lord? The theme was courage and honor, inspired by love for February.
Yeah, Theodore, if you can notice that he is actually looking at her eyes. That's great willpower.
Yep.
But you'll notice that she is not looking at his eyes.
Oh, yep. I like the six pack.
I think they turned the table.
Armor.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I just saw a photo of something similar, like with what you were talking about on Twitter, but like they drew dashes as to where the eye contact was going. So
yeah, they turned the table. She's over here. Yeah, she's over here looking him up and down, and he's like, I want to look into your soul. Look at me. You're pretty.
His name is Sir Rockin' Right. Let me ask him real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna copy this.
I love the six pack built right into the armor because you got to make room for that.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have a six pack in your armor, do you really have armor?
I don't think you do.
A sheet of metal. The best armor has nipples too.
Well,
I mean,
if you don't have big protruding man nipples, there's something wrong with your armor.
It gives a new definition of abs of steel, right?
Yeah, right.
Well played.
Oh, Lowdy. But
so yes, his name is Sir Rockin' Ryan. He's on Discord right now. I'm asking him for his Twitter name so that you guys can follow him. I'm assuming. He says, oh my gosh, thank you. That's so cool. Oh, his Twitter. Okay, if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, it's Ryan C. Draws. Ryan C. Draws on Twitter. Sorry.
Hoo-ha. And speaking of random art, another little fun conversation that I bumped into. This one was on Reddit, though. There was actually a couple posts on this. Was the immersion breaking user uploaded images. And this person was at Forkbomb25 posted, I heard you like immersion breaking user uploaded images. And put pictures like, what's your viewpoint on that? Like, Steven said that they're looking to make it possible to upload images, custom images for things like decorations in your home and guild tabards and sails on your ship and stuff like that.
Okay.
But there would be rules.
There would be rules?
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, you'd have to have some pretty strict rules. For me, if I'm getting to choose, I like the idea of user uploaded images, like especially for guild tabards and ship sales and stuff like that. Decorations in your home, that's you're getting a little far for me. But like for me, it would have to be like, you know, you would have some type of a guild leveling system where guilds achieve a certain level over time and stature and all that. That way, you're not getting flooded with the images, and then you'd have to have some kind of team that would approve or deny, and pictures of obviously lewd and explicit things. That's obvious, but just like almost anything that was, God, how would I explain this? Anything that's already existing as an IP, like if you try to put up anime characters or Marvel characters or Star Wars characters or something like that, then you'd have to get rid of those. But if people went into Photoshop and actually created a logo for their guild and it's a real original logo, then yeah, let them upload it. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I understand the infrastructure on that's kind of hard to pull off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be curious if using a copyrighted image or a clip of one would actually be any kind of violation, like something they would actually need to worry about in the game and all, because just the way it's working out, like they're not really, the people playing the game aren't really using it to make money.
Right.
Not really using it for profit. They're not really using it saying, I made this, so much as, hey, here's a picture of insert Incredible Hulk face on a guild banner or something.
Right.
I'm not sure if that would be actually a negative thing towards Ashes, but if it were, I could totally see that. If it's not, I mean, what's the difference between having an Incredible Hulk breaking immersion or a giant ogre face?
Right.
It's just because it's not from that world, but it totally could be.
Right. The big thing is that you're from an immersion perspective, and again, we've already discussed, I'm not really playing for the immersion part of it, but from an immersion perspective, seeing the Hulk doesn't belong here. But if you make an ogre face, there's ogres in the game. Or it could have just been something that the logo maker or the logo designer of that guild came up with in their mind, like thinking about it from an actual character in the game. So I mean, I can see that, and I don't want to see anime characters, and I don't want to see a guild called the Rebel Alliance and them have the Star Wars Rebel logo or the Empire logo. Like, I don't want to see any of that personally, but I mean, it's not gonna kill the game for me or anything.
Yeah. In one of the 2017 videos, there's a naked woman picture as you leave the tavern.
That's
I'm gonna have to do some research.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, for science.
Is that what they call it?
For science, yes. I'll be using the scientific method or something like it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Scientific method isn't for research, just so you guys know. For science. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see any kind of an issue with it, except for, as you were saying, like things to keep it quote unquote family friendly. But apparently there is going to be some form of moderation with that to make sure there's not inappropriate images being used.
Yeah.
And for all I care, like make it a bannable offense. Like you put boobs on your sail and try to conquer a city, that account's going to last until the end of that minute.
Right. Yeah.
Because somebody's going to report it, and there's a GM that's going to walk in and go, another one. And then your ship disappears, and so does your account.
Reluctant Raven has a good solution there. They give it to the players who want it, but then give the players the option to turn it off. So you can just turn off all player-made logos so that they would just be something generic, so you don't have to see it. That's not a bad idea. Because I really don't want to see Hulk face on when I'm running around a game.
I mean, but then the bummer would be you'd need to come up with every guild would need to come up with an alternate logo for their guild.
Yeah,
I mean, but have to have
if that's the price to have, to appease both sides.
Oh my God. Sorry. So AOC discussion is currently spamming Steven. Steven is in interviews. He just typed back. He's like, in interviews, you guys blowing up my phone.
Oh my god. The general
And now
right
he
now?
sent a heart. Z says nothing to do with me. Come back later.
Dang.
Oh my gosh.
Let's blow up my phone.
Are they like tagging him in
retreat.
Discord?
Yeah.
yeah. There's a bunch of people just tagging away.
Oh my goodness.
How's that interview going? Oh boy. Yeah, so like, yes, let's annoy people at work. Well, to be fair.
Retreat, says Z.
But yeah, so I tagged him on Twitter. I was like, hey, Ashes of Creation, Steven, if you're seeing this, he needs you. But like, that's as far as I did it. To be honest, it's worth it. Well, there's a big surprise for him. True, there is. I just felt bad that he was in the middle of an interview.
I mean, I feel happy that he's in the middle of an interview if we're talking about the grand scheme of things.
True.
But
I just feel bad that his phone's being blown up in the middle of an interview.
It's fine. This is fine.
God, go. What is going on?
Yeah, this is fine.
This is fine. Hey, it comes with the territory of being one of the creators of a big video game a bunch of people follow and have feelings for and
Have lots of passion for. Yep.
we have passion for it and the creators and the people that are in our community. I just cannot wait for the surprise. I wonder if it's a hiring interview. Ooh, that's a good point.
That's what I was thinking. Is he? I know they're trying to hire people. Is he in the process of doing that right now?
I'm the reason why I can't have nice things. Why do I believe
Curse
that?
you, Raven.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a jovial end to our podcast. Do you have anything else that you would like to cover before we end?
Asking me?
I
Just either
personally
of you.
just had one other thing.
Yeah.
It could be a fairly quick, and granted, it's a fairly deep discussion topic we could have on it, but just as a fairly quick, like, couple sentence closer. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a link for a poll on the user created images if anyone cares to take part. But the thing I was going to talk about was this post on Reddit by a user Ekanite or something, Ekanite. Ekanite. That's how I'm going to pronounce it, because Eek, a night. But it's about horizontal progression instead of vertical progression. Like when new expansions come out, this person is worried that adding additional levels are going to make new people get frustrated. And there's going to be a giant power gap from the point that they start to the point that they can finish the game. Whereas they use the ESO as an example of ways to make horizontal progression that still makes you need to go out and get better gear. Quote unquote better, but it's different to, I guess, accommodate a different play style for new content.
Have you played ESO?
No, I have not. I've heard very lukewarm everything about it, and I was playing WildStar when it came out, and so I've never bothered going into it because by the time I got to it, everyone was like, F that game.
The gearing system is the best part about that game. I agree with this guy. Like, how many people, raise your hand, have you started playing a new MMO and been like, I'm never going to reach level 125. I'm just going to quit. Like, all, you know what I mean? I know I have.
I'm sorry, Wizzy.
Yeah, sorry, it was
WildStar, and the bot was like, meh.
it was all
So-
caps, all caps.
So in ESO, there are crafted set bonuses. So that's set bonuses that anybody can craft, and there's some ways you have to unlock some of them, and then there's set bonuses that drop from dungeons, set bonuses that drop from raids, set bonuses that you can get through PvP. There's numerous different set bonuses, and every time they release an expansion, the gear level stays the same. What they release is new set bonuses, and in ESO you can have 2 set bonuses going at the same time. And so it's all about trying to find the builds with the best synergy between the set bonuses. And in order to do that, you have to kind of have them all so that when they do updates and change them around or add in new ones or whatever, you can start testing and experimenting and playing and trying to find the best build. And so, yes, it does make it where the level cap is still the same. Everybody has to travel and play the same amount to that little level cap. And then after that, it's about finding your gear. So that's what they mean by a horizontal progression system. And yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. And I've always thought that more MMO should look into that type of system.
But my question on that is going to be, is there actual challenge when the new stuff comes out? Like, let me go through this dungeon and clear this dungeon. Oh, wait, it's just exactly as hard as the other stuff. And I don't need anything out of this dungeon. I just need to collect the gear because reasons.
No, it's hard. And they have like, there's like, if you do the dungeon on story mode, the new raid, let's say you do the new raid. If you do it on story mode, you get the gear and it has the same set bonus and everything. But if you do it on the hardest difficulty, you get forget what it's called, a veteran. I think it's called a perfected insert set bonus name. And so it's better that way. And yes, the raids are pretty hard. Matter of fact, they're pretty darn hard if you don't know what you're doing. I died a lot in the few that I did. So yeah, you can. And one of the things that's really interesting about this topic is it actually would be beneficial to the developers to implement this type of system, because you got to think about it. Let's say you're going to have an expansion come out and you want to have 2 new raids in the new expansion. And so you have your raid development team and your art team and everybody is working their butts off to develop this new raid. And they work for 3 months solid to get these 2 new raids out or whatever. And all that work and everything that's done. And then next year, when you release a new expansion, all that work is deleted. It's irrelevant content that nobody ever touches anymore. But if the level cap never rises, and you still need the set bonuses that come from that, new players who are coming up through the ranks, it's never irrelevant to them. They still do it. So all of your content and all of your hard work matters a lot longer. So, I mean, I think it's a really good system, but there are obvious drawbacks to it as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see that. With the reusability of content. That would be nice. But,
it just keeps it relevant. Like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, for years, they've changed it now, but for years, like the first 4 raids that came out, nobody ever did them ever. Like they were ghost towns, and then at a certain point, they went through and did all the work to upscale them up and put them online with all the rest of the raids. But before that, nobody ever did them, and it's like, that's what really got me thinking about it way back then, was how do you make your content stay relevant for longer? And then when I played ESO, I was like, oh, that's how you do it. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. Fair. Sorry. The thing that I'm giggling about over here, I think it's a good high note to end on. Reluctant Raven sent me this change.org link from Ashes of Creation.
Uh-oh.
It's "We want Frognar features added to the Tolnar options. Click here to sign the petition." Nice.
Frognar. I like it.
Frognar.
Some of the added things are: please, Steven, add frog-like features to the Tolnar palette for Ashes of Creation. Frog furries are called scalies. They sound like fun.
Well, Steven needs to hop to it.
So we are...
Except frog, wouldn't it be slimies, not scalies?
Maybe. It's a little behind, but they're like 80 something so far. So you too can sign the petition if you would like to. But yeah.
Change.org petition.
That's like it. That's funny.
Brown Rice says, I will not, but love goes out.
Remember, you were supposed to convert me on the Frognar stance. My DMs are open.
Do it.
Oh, goodness.
Oy.
Alrighty.
But yes, I suppose on that note, I'm going to go and educate myself more on the ESO equipment system.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll be something interesting. I doubt that there's going to end up being that kind of system in this game, but it'll be pretty neat. And I think honestly something like that might actually work really well with Ash's everything system, because they want everything to be reusable and always relevant. So
Always relevant. Yeah. Check it out, man. It's pretty interesting. I think you'll like it.
But
Alrighty.
thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah,
Thank you for the conversation.
I'm glad Wondering Mist pointed you our direction, and I would like to say I'm sorry. I just saw your DM about Wondering Mist pointing you towards us on Twitter, or Twitch rather.
On Twitch.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't sure which direction Raven was going to send me the DM, and I was like, oh look, there's a PM, and I opened it and was like, oh.
Well, I found Vertec on Discord and we got it handled, so it's no big deal.
Yeah, I'm glad you're still here. Horrenda says, thanks for the stream. Have a nice Valentine's Day. Thank you. You as well. I will be getting both the horse and the dress, so no worries on that
And the
one.
dress.
And the dress.
I might get the puppy. We'll see. I might.
Night,
Yes.
night.
Thank you, everybody else, for stopping by and hanging out with us. Your time is valuable, and you spent it with us. Much
And as
appreciated.
Always thank you for everybody that followed us, subscribed, etc. I would like to direct you guys. Oh, that's all good. See, excuse me. I would like to direct you guys over to Xillin's YouTube, since he doesn't have Twitch or Twitter for me to direct you over to. All good. Go hit that subscribe and bell icon so you can
absolutely. I
tell when he
appreciate it.
uploads. And you can find him on Discord aside from that. But yeah, hey Zara, welcome in as we're ending.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi there.
And yeah, since you ask about plugs there, Brom, I'll go ahead and send out another one here. Here is, in case you missed it,
Hi, hello. How's it going?
TheoryForge had an interview with Steven.
Yes.
And it
nice.
it was based a lot around the things that don't get covered much, like farming and crafting and adventuring and things like that, instead of a lot of super technical stuff that always get asked in interviews.
We're able to
A lot
ask
of
a
just,
question too.
Your everyday crafter, adventurer, role player type stuff. So
That's cool. I haven't seen that, so I'm gonna have to check it out too.
Yes, please go check it out. We were able to give our 2 cents for a question, and it was really cool hearing the answer to that. So go check it out. If you have nothing else to do tonight and you have Friday nights free, more Ashes content, and I'll see what else I can tweet out on our official Discord, Twitter. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and we look forward to introducing you to our new guest. Until then, bye.
later on.